Aloha. I left off on we are talking about the driver's license, DMV, and all that whole system and how it sucks the mind into a state of like need and then like a deep want and a deep sort of like program that starts when we're children to the commercials all the way up until it just creates like a grid line for us to enslave ourselves pretty much. And it's not just dealing with vehicles and driver's license and all this other stuff but it's founded in what we call the idea of freedom. So you get a vehicle, you're free. You get a job, you get money, you're free. These are all ideas that get put out there. And you have insurance on your vehicles, you're legal to do all this other stuff. All these things are basically little chains that we put on ourselves because they're meant to keep us in a state of mind. So this is what happened and I wanted to transition that over to how cannabis was taken away from the collective consciousness when it was criminalized after it had been used for so long. So, I mean, since longer than we can even document, cannabis has been in the relationship with the human design, and for a being or entities to say that this is illegal or whatever, then you have to look deeper into what that means and how that's being done, and especially when it's starting to go into another shift, such as being decriminalized and now more and more part of our surroundings and our community and such and everything. So these are all time frames. These are all timings. That's the main thing I wanted to hit on. Everything is on purpose. The timing of it, everything is on purpose. When they put crack in the communities in the 80s, that was on purpose. When they put LSD in the 60s during that movement and that awakening time frame, that was on purpose. When they criminalized cannabis and hemp, that was on purpose. So when they're legalizing it and decriminalizing it slowly but surely, that's on purpose. When they do it in certain areas, like when they decriminalize it completely in Colorado, out of all places, knowing that California been doing this forever, but when you put it in the middle of these states, you create systems like inherently people are getting all kinds of messed up when you have those states surrounding that state that's legal here, but all around here is illegal, and it's a whole grid, and they're making money off of this. When they know what people are gonna do, they know how people are gonna react, they know what's gonna happen. So it's just like funneling not only money and funneling ideas, but they're funneling your thought process and your movements into whatever kind of step is next on their chessboard. So we might see it as, oh yeah, things are changing, this is all happy-go-lucky, but when you look further into it, nothing is a mistake. Everything is on purpose, especially when you're dealing with something as heavy duty as like cannabis and what that does with the consciousness, and it's a lot deeper than Yahoo News and any kind of news stations are talking about. So anyway, I just wanted to hit on the fact that the legalization or the decriminalization of marijuana, and yeah, so now that I got all these people in prison, it creates this for minor drug They're not even crimes. These are things back in the days. These wouldn't be crimes. And then you mix in the fact that those people being charged with these crimes are all um, black and brown peoples of this prison industrial complex. It's all a purpose. It's all a design. And so I wanted to stay on topic now. So when when you put something out there and you just make everybody can have it, you're losing. They're giving away power. So that's like if there was no DMV and if there was no driver's license, then less people. They wouldn't have all these car dealerships everywhere, because it would just happen on its own. Like they wouldn't need the ego of a vehicle, all that, because there's no kind of like need there that has been planted years prior. So the same thing goes with cannabis. Like when you create like a state of like, when you say, oh, this is illegal, and you take it away, that's going to make people want it even more. So if you know that and you take it away, then you say, oh yeah, now this is legal. They're not going to do that without doing it at the right time for whatever their moves are. And this goes back to what I said earlier about the LSD and the crack in the 60s and the 80s. The crack was put into, this is all like out there in public knowledge. The CIA put crack in Oakland. The CIA put LSD in San Francisco, and all this, all this stuff exists. People know all these stories out there, and for you to know it, it activates that magic. And when it's active like that, and we continue on our days based upon what some other kind of design is telling us, then that's when we become part of that grid. We become part of that system and allow it to be. But now is the time we're not allowing it to be anymore, because we know too much. Once you know too much, then the people who are continuing to enslave people, then they lose their power inherently, because their power, so-called power, which is actually an illusion of control, is revealed for what it is. And then we can see how we are actually the holders of the power. We are the ones enslaving ourselves. So back to the cannabis part, like look at I just wanted to trigger a moment to take a look at the timings of everything and how everything's being played out. Not only that, but what's all involved, who's saying what, where these things are happening. Like I said, with Colorado, the time frame of the legalization of marijuana, with our first so-called black president of the United States, that whole time frame when they were selling in stuff with the Hope campaign and all that, the timing of having Obama in there right after Bush, like that was a whole buffer zone, like softening up everything. So because of what Bush was in there doing, and to have Bush come in there right after Clinton, that was a whole thing. It's like you can see the frequency. It's like give a little, take a lot. Give a little, take a lot. And even when they're giving a little, that is more taking. It's just a softer take. So we're always being taken. And our minds are being taken constantly. And you got the television and everything. So, but cannabis being legal, or coming into a space of being legalized, that also gives your power away. That also gives like somebody telling you, oh yeah, you can now do this. You know, we could always do this. It has nothing to do with you. So they, once they keep it away from you for so long and you want it even more, you're like, oh, like it's a whole mind process. It's that drug. That's a drug in itself. That keeping away and then giving a little, or get like, that's a whole drug in itself. When in your mind it creates these these little mini explosions in your mind, and you become dependent on this grid. Not only that, you become compliant and not even questioning what the world is all about and what's going on behind the scenes. Not even looking at how all this stuff is connected to today's stories and stories from centuries ago. So we become caught in a system that is designed to look happy, look cool, but actually enslave us. Then, and we don't do anything about that because we're so cool with it. That's us being cool with a mental enslavement. So the release of cannabis at this time frame right now is coming out right now during this age, this Aquarian age, so we can be stuck in a certain frequency. And that frequency is not based upon our maximum potential. Like, cannabis is not consciousness. Cannabis is part of consciousness. It's a tool. It's a medicine. It's so much more than what the legal system and all these other things, these other systems claim it to be. And when it's boxed in a certain sort of idea, then you can see how that can create a box mentality. So I just wanted to put out there the time frame of cannabis being legalized, decriminalized, how it works with consciousness, how it's being manipulated through control grids from us being kids, and us having this history of our parents, you know, the whole 60s civil rights time frame, that whole everything, all of it is all connected. And yeah, I'll leave it there because I'm pretty sure I put out the majority of what I wanted to hit on with the timing of making things legal and keeping things illegal. So thank you for joining me. I'm sure there's more. I know there's more. I can feel it, but I'm gonna leave it right here until the next video. I'll move it into another thread. So until next time, peace, love, and harmony.